You're listening to 91.9 FM, WCAL, California, Pennsylvania. CalU's best music. You're tuned into Just Ed with Just Pop Punk, and we've got a special guest for you today. This is Chris from Less Than Jake. How you doing, Chris?
I am awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So you guys just kicked off your tour last night. How was that first show?
It was great. We started in Fort Lauderdale, which is our backyard, being in Florida. So it was a great tour opener. It was a good show.
Awesome. How's it feel knowing the show in Pittsburgh this Friday is actually sold out now?
That's awesome, man. I love playing that place. Mr. Smalls is a cool venue.
Yeah, that's my favorite here too. It's always great. I love playing it. I love going to it too. It's always a good time.
Yep.
You guys seem to come back to Pittsburgh pretty regularly, at least more so than a lot of other bands do. What draws you back here versus anywhere else?
I don't know. We've just always done real well in Pittsburgh. Since we first started coming there in the '90s. We just always had a lot of fans there, and the shows were always crazy. So anytime we get a chance to play in that neck of the woods, we always try to include Pittsburgh on the list.
Yeah, the crowds do seem pretty energetic here, at least when you guys come.
Right.
So why'd you choose the bands you did for this tour?
Well, we've known Punchline guys and the Mets guys forever.
Yeah, Punchline's from here, too. They're 15 minutes out from where we are.
Right. So, we kind of, put the feelers out to see who could do the tour, and those guys came back and were interested, and we jumped on it. And the Cali Massey guys, we just met them. They were recommended to us, and we liked what we heard, so we took those guys as well.
So what drew you back to play stuff like Warped Tour so many times?
What brought us back to play it?
To play Warped Tour, yeah.
It's just something that we had been doing since 1997, and we kept getting invited back every other summer, and it was great. It was a new batch of 13 to 15-year-olds that had never heard of our band, and it just kept refreshing our audience. And we played the Warped Tour more than any other band. We did 441 shows so far on Warped Tour.
Insane. Warped Tour is where I got into you guys too. So that system was definitely working.
It was presented to us way back in '97, and I hadn't even heard of the tour then. It was pre-internet. Someone said there's this thing going up the East Coast with a bunch of bands, Bad Religion, Lagwagon, Pennywise, and we're like, okay, that sounds fun. And we did it that first year and never looked back.
Do you have any Warped Tour memories that stand out beyond the rest as your favorite?
We could talk for hours on that question alone. With tons of memories. I'll give you one. On the tour eventually grew to be about 1,100 people. So it's basically moving like a small town from city to city. That was all the production people, all the bus drivers, all the truck drivers, all the bands, all the roadies, merchandise people, sponsors. But back in '97, the first year we did it, there was like only 3 stages back then. So there was maybe 30 bands instead of 120. But I think the crew ran, the whole tour personnel was maybe 250 to 300 people. So it was a significantly smaller operation. And catering used to be run out of what was the equivalent of an ice cream truck. And the guy that ran it, I don't remember what his name was, but the head chef was this very, very large Italian man, very hairy. And one day I'm walking past the milk truck or ice cream truck, and he's in there, and I look over, and he's stirring the Kool-Aid in a 5-gallon bucket with his arm up to his armpit, pretty much. So that was my last day of drinking Kool-Aid on the Warped Tour. I stuck with water.
That's concerning. That's really concerning.
He was so hairy. Thereafter, we coined him Armpit. That was his nickname.
Did anyone ever find a hair in their Kool-Aid?
I didn't, thank God, but I don't know if anybody else did. But yeah, that's when we stopped drinking the proverbial Kool-Aid. Did
you stop drinking it for years in the future, too, or just that one year?
If I see Kool-Aid now, I still get repulsed. I haven't drank Kool-Aid probably since then.
Oh. So what's all going on with the tour for this summer? I know you're doing the California and New Jersey dates. Are you excited for those, even though they're a lot different than in the past?
Yeah, we kind of knew that Kevin was going to keep the Warped Tour going in some form or another. It just wasn't going to be a full cross-country thing, But, when we got the call to do it, we jumped on it. It's going to be great.
So do you end up preferring these festival sets or your headliner sets?
I always answer that you question the same. It's like when you've been doing festivals for a month or two, you wish you were back doing the headlining stuff, and vice versa. So it's they're equally as cool. It's just after a month of doing one, you kind of want to change the pace, so to speak.
After being a band for so long, how do you guys keep the writing and recording process fresh so you don't just make the same album over and over?
Well, there's a fine line. It's like a catch-22. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You can't stray too far from your sound because then, you changed. But if you, keep your core sound, there's people are like, oh, you made the same album again, you haven't changed. There's a fine line. All you can do is write for yourself, and which we always have. And if we like the song, hopefully, that conveys to the fans that listen to our music.
What other artists did you used to draw inspiration from when you started, and who do you draw it from now?
God, I grew up in a musical household. My mom and dad were musicians, and so everything from the Beatles, the Who, to the Who, Beach Boys, Neil Diamond, all 60s, 70s stuff, all the way up to punk rock, metal. The influences are just kind of all over the place. It wasn't really any one particular genre. When we first started the band, I was listening to a lot of punk rock then, Screeching Weasel, Operation Ivy, Bad Religion, Descendants, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. So those were a lot of early influences on the band, but overall influences, they go back to the, beginning of rock and roll. I grew up in a musical household, listened to everything.
Anyone you're listening to today that's being heard in your writing a little bit more?
God, I wish there was.
There's not a lot of people doing the same thing.
Yeah, not anything really that's caught my ear lately that I could say would be like an influence for me. I just, I don't know. When I pick up the guitar, just things, I don't know, kind of come out. I don't really put too much thought into that.
So I got some rapid fire questions, and then we're gonna close it off. So
Awesome.
I got 5 or 6 of these. Favorite band you toured with?
Bon Jovi.
Favorite city to play?
Pittsburgh.
Favorite Less Than Jake release?
Anthem.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
And the messiest member in your band on tour?
Me.
I interviewed someone yesterday, and they said the exact same thing. They're just like, yeah, it's definitely me. I got to admit it.
It's either me or Roger, our bass player.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, yeah. You can catch Less Than Jake in Pittsburgh at Mr. Small's Theater this Friday with Mest, Punchline, and Kali Masi. It's sold out, but if you're lucky enough to get a ticket, it is going to be a great show. I'm excited for it.
We are, too. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, man.